Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be having a look at fossorial and arboreal spiderling enclosures. Before we get into this video, I would just like to say that the Rocky Mountain Spider Fruit Scavenger Hunt has begun. So if you would like to win your own pack of keeper cards, which are these awesome species cards that contain all the basic information of that species. So here we have the Pharnapelma mani. The card includes the location, the habitat, the female and male lifespans, a keeper level of 1 to 5, and the defense that the tarantula has. There are also some very interesting photos and a geographical map of where the tarantula is from. It includes how moist you need to keep your tarantula and the maximum size. So if you would like to win your very own pack of keeper cards, then check out the link down below and start the scavenger hunt. I wanted to make this video because obviously the most common form of tarantula is a terrestrial species, which are ground-dwelling tarantulas which use burrows and ready-made hides. Now, when it comes to fossorial and arboreal species, you can use exactly the same enclosures, just set up differently. So, what I have here is my Carabiner versicolor. I think these will do up to juvenile size, to be honest with you. But this has been perfect for this particular tarantula. And on the other side, we have got the Cereopagopus species Hatty Hatty. So I know the Hatty Hatty is an arboreal tarantula, but as a sling it does show some fossorial tendencies, as this one has burrowed into the substrate and not come out. Without further ado, let's have a closer look. So starting with the Carabiner versicolor, what you can see is that the tarantula has made this fantastic web burrow that goes all the way around the cork bark that I placed in to begin with. This is all just under a year's worth of web, so don't be surprised if your tarantula doesn't web up like this straight away. Now, when this was just a spiderling, it took immediately behind the cork bark and made this web tunnel. But then as it molted, it decided then to make this web tunnel down here, and then this one down here. And then now during its last molt, it has decided to make this huge web-like hammock / tunnel all the way across the side. In doing so, burying the water dish as well. Now, for a arboreal tarantula, this is the ideal enclosure. As you can see, it has got height, it is made out of plastic, so it is easy to make ventilation holes. Even the lid, you can make as many ventilation holes as you want. When it comes to arboreal, because they live in the trees, it is very important to get that cross ventilation which goes through the enclosure and then up out. As you can imagine, living in the trees or high up in the wild, there will be a lot of wind. So it is important to get this airflow, and I believe that is what makes the tarantulas thrive and makes them healthy and live longer. Highly recommend the Carabiner versicolor, not only because they're beautiful tarantulas, but also because, I don't know, they're just so rewarding to grow up. There's a lot of information out there about them being very difficult, but I believe as long as you don't keep them swampy, and make sure you have this cross ventilation going, which is very important, I believe, I don't think you'll have a problem. I do feed this tarantula once a week, and because it's arboreal, I've never really seen it go down to the water dish, so what I like to do during feedings is drop some water onto the web. I don't really like to get the substrate wet because obviously it stays there for a while and I don't want the enclosure to get stuffy or mouldy. So yeah, drop some water onto the web, and I have actually seen this tarantula drinking from the web after I've about an hour after I put some water droplets onto it. So moving on to the Cereopagopus species Hatty Hatty, which is an arboreal tarantula, but at a young age it does show fossorial tendencies, so I thought I would use this as an example of fossorial setups. Now, if this was a fully fossorial species like my Ornithopterus oreo tibialis, I would have this filled up to about here with substrate and just maybe a piece of cork bark and a starter burrow in the top. But because this is arboreal and semi-fossorial at a young age, I decided just to go with a half and half mix. As you can see, the tarantula is just down inside this hole here. Again, this is another one that does struggle to drink from the water dish, so I do tend to drop water onto the webs. Now, when it comes to a moisture-dependent species like this, as you can see with the Caribbean versicolor, I have got a lot of ventilation holes on the top. But on the Hatty Hatty, I only have one hole in the centre at top. This is because I don't want the water to evaporate quickly out of this enclosure. I still have got the cross ventilation, which will help circulate airflow, keeping the enclosure as fresh as possible. I mean, I could probably do with putting more holes down the side just to try and get airflow around the bottom, but so far there's not been any mould outbreaks and the tarantula still seems healthy, so I think I'm okay to leave it like this for now. But yeah, and if you want to know where I got these containers from, I'll just show you quickly. In your local pet shops you will normally find these containers containing bug grub. So all you do is just use all the bug grub in there. What you can even do is buy these probably online for cheap, but because I keep crickets, dubia roaches, mealworms, I like to use this stuff anyway, so what I tend to do is empty these out into another container and then use the containers as enclosures, as it's just fantastic enclosures. I mean, you can get smaller ones too, like this calcium dust powder. This is not for tarantulas, by the way, this is something else which I'll be showing very soon. But I think this is the best choice for an arboreal sling. For the really tiny slings you can use the almost like dram vials, these things, and you can buy these for cheap online. But I mean, a lot of sellers, if you bought your tarantula off the internet, more than likely your tarantula is going to come in one of these, so they're very easy to use, especially for slings. This is my Orithus oreo tibialis. As you can see, plenty of substrate in there. The only problem with this enclosure is obviously every time I remove the top it just disturbs the tarantula straight away, so I don't really get a chance to see this one very often. Now I believe if I'd used one of these, you know, the tarantula's got much deeper hide, I could unscrew the top and, you know, leave it loose and then come back, just remove the top slightly and maybe get a look at the tarantula. But I mean, she's very comfortable in this enclosure. The other alternative to that for the terrestrial species is the this is my Ternocularis munis. So as you can see, terrestrial, fossorial, there's a huge difference. Obviously you've all seen my adult Cereopagopus lividum enclosure, perfect for fossorial tarantulas. Probably not so much for the arboreal because they do open from the top. So obviously when you're sliding the lid out, the tarantula is more than likely going to be at the top. Perfect examples of sling and a juvenile, fossorial and arboreal enclosures. So thank you for watching again, guys. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it means a lot to me. We have just passed 120 subscribers and I just can't believe how it just keeps growing and growing. Obviously, every week you must want to come back and listen to me drivel on about something else. So yeah, thank you very much for sticking with me, and you know, I'm so looking forward to the future. We've got some exciting things to announce coming soon. Latest t-shirt came out, so if you're interested in one of these, head over to my Spreadshirt. There is a link in the bottom to my Spreadshirt shop. Not only do I have the merchandise shirts, but I also have the tarantula themed t-shirts. Let me just go and fetch one. So we've got a Brachypalma bomi t-shirt here. I've got a Nandu chromatus and a Cereopagopus lividum, both available with or without the scientific names, so you know, take your fancy and see what you like. So yeah, again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you, goodbye.